So, immune health, right? It is so important, especially during COVID times now that we know COVID variant is here in California, right? It's traveled all the way from Europe. So, what can we do? So important. Immune boosting food and diet. That is, all of us can do that. So, I have a very special guest today, Frances. She is actually a celebrity dietitian here. She has been on all the TV shows, national TV shows, Good Morning America, everywhere. Hi, Frances. How are you? So amazing to see you.
Hi, lovely to see you, and thank you so much for having me.
You bet. I was just telling the viewers that, how you've been on so many national television shows like CNN, Good Morning America, Access Hollywood. I mean, Frances has written a lot of books. She is like the star dietitian in the country.
Thank you so much for saying that. But it's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be talking about one of my favorite topics, immune health.
Please go ahead. Yes, tell us what to do now that we have COVID variant in America now.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't think that we really should do anything differently than sort of what the overall guidance would be, which is to be eating a healthy, nutrient-dense diet and taking very good care of ourselves. I would say that I have been guilty in the past of not getting so much sleep. I have 3 children, and sometimes sleep does not feel like it's a priority, but it's not a luxury because the research that I've been doing shows that if you don't get those 7 to 8 hours pretty much every night, your health really is going to suffer, not just your mental health, which we know takes a toll. Anybody who's been a parent knows that that takes a toll, but overall it will, sleep deprivation over time will set you up for heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all kinds of ailments. So I think we're all realizing so much this year. So much has changed, and health for some people who never made it a priority now are making it a priority. So that's a benefit. That is a silver lining, I think, that people are stepping up their own personal care, their own wellness. They're doing more self-care. They're really investing in themselves, which I think is really important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You said that. I mean, especially here, we are in Silicon Valley. I'm in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and the culture is to, sleep under the desk and keep working on your startups like, I don't know, 100 hours a week or some strange things and never sleep. I'm not never sleep. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the sleep is considered like the bad guy here. And to your point, it's just so important, so let's talk a little bit on the type of foods that we should focus on for boosting our immune health.
Yes. So, I have said it in many articles this year. Dr. Fauci has said it.
Yeah.
Vitamin D and vitamin C are two really, really key nutrients. Also, zinc is a very important mineral in the diet, as well as beta carotene. Now, generally, our diets will take care of vitamin C and beta carotene if you're eating at least a variety of foods. If you're getting some fruits and vegetables, you should be covered with C and beta carotene. C you will find in virtually all fruits and vegetables to some degree. Certainly citrus is a wonderful source of vitamin C, but also strawberries, kiwi fruit, all the stuff that's coming into season. Add that to your diet, you'll be fine with vitamin C. But vitamin D is really difficult to get enough of. And, especially in the wintertime, especially where I'm in the Northeast. And so we are getting more sunlight now, which is great, but still we're not outside enough. Part of that is COVID concerns, part of that is busy lifestyle, and part of that is people are afraid of sun exposure. So I always tell people, yes, absolutely, you do want to wear your sunscreen, but you can go out for 10-minute increments with no sunscreen just to expose your skin so that it does actually start making vitamin D. But I would say that many of us are still in a deficit, and where you can get it is in fatty fish. So things like salmon. I like wild Alaskan because it's always wild and it's always sustainable. in eggs and also in fortified dairy products. So, you know, pretty much all milk, unless it's raw milk, is going to be fortified with vitamins A and D. But vegans absolutely need to supplement. And in fact, even if you do incorporate seafood and eggs, you might still need a supplement.
So, and then I was just, you know, I'm not a dietitian here, but I was just reading research and talking to all of you. I've learned a few things, but there's a whole thing on vitamin D and vitamin K, right? So do you want to elaborate a little bit how that is correlated?
Sure. Well, they're both bone building nutrients, and we need to be getting both of them in our diet, but they are in very different types of foods, right? So again, you know, the D is in the fatty fish and the eggs, and vitamin K is really in those dark leafy greens like kale and Swiss chard and mustard greens. But we do really need to be getting both of those in our diet. And, you know, you could take a multivitamin. That would be, you know, some people don't like to take multiple supplements. But I always say that a multivitamin is good for insurance, you know, insurance purposes. But certainly, you know, those of us who are eating more plants, that's fantastic. We're getting a whole lot of nutrients. But the one thing that you may still have to supplement with is D.
Okay. And then, all right. So vitamin D supplementation is very, very important because all of us don't live in California or Florida or what have you, and we don't get enough sun, even if, you know, during the whole part of the year. So there's a lot of talk on bone broth, right? For immunity, especially. So what are your thoughts on bone broth, and also for vegans? What would be the options?
Oh, that's a really good question. So yeah, bone broth is excellent for so many reasons. First of all, it's hydrating. You know, water isn't the only way to hydrate. Of course, water is great, but you can hydrate with bone broth. It also is a great source of collagen, and we know that that's important for both skin health, to keep our skin healthy and youthful looking, but also for cartilage and joints. So it's fabulous for that. There really is not a vegan source of collagen. Certainly, you know, there are some brands out there touting that they're vegan collagen, but there really isn't a great, you know, one-to-one comparison. But, you know, algae is another good way to get something that's sort of, you know, similar to collagen. And yes, you could do a miso soup with seaweed in it or kelp in it, and that would be kind of a comparable thing to a bone broth.
Okay. So what else? All right. So we talked about vitamin D, we talked about zinc, we talked about vitamin C, we talked about bone broth. What else should we pay attention to?
Well, I actually developed a immune boosting checklist, and that is on my website, and folks can go there. My website is franceslargemanroth.com. It's a free download. If you scroll down the page a little bit, it'll say, you know, I think it says want to boost your immune health, and it's a page that you can really just, you know, print it out, refer to it on a daily basis. You know, did I get these foods today? Did I drink, you know, this much water? But also what's really important for our immunity is laughing. Social interactions. And I know that that's often limited to video screens or the phone, but still that is helpful. You know, if you need a good laugh, get on the phone with a good friend of yours and just chat for a bit. But yes, laughing actually, both in the short term and in the long term, is very important for immunity. You know, touch. Many of us are. I'm lucky. I have 3 children and a husband and a dog, so I have not been lacking for hugs. But many people are, and so you know, really try, now that the weather is getting nicer, try to go out and just see a friend to go for a walk. But there are so many things. Again, sleep we talked about, that is important. And let's talk a little bit about sleep hygiene, because you can't just say, oh, get more sleep, because there might be various things that might be getting in the way of your good sleep. So turn off tech at least an hour before bed. Okay. So if you're going to bed at 10, get it out of the room, turn it off. turn off your alerts. Always set up that whole, can't remember what it's called on your cell phone, but you can set it up so that you're not bothered between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. or whatever you want it to be. Also put, create an environment that is sleep inducing. I have a lavender linen spray that I spray on the bed sheets before I climb in. Make sure that the room is not too hot. Also caffeine, I enjoy caffeine. I probably couldn't do what I do without it, but most of us have a time during the day that we need to cut it off at that time. So for me, that's 2 p.m. I cannot have caffeine past that or it will keep me up. You might have to experiment, and see what works for you. Also alcohol. So while it does have a relaxation effect, it can then later on wake us up. So try not to have any alcohol within like a 2 to 3 hour time frame before bed. So the whole idea of a nightcap is really not a good, it's not a good idea. And then, some people have GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disorder. And so avoiding spicy food, avoiding fatty food before bed, 2 to 3 hours before bed is important. And you may even need to prop yourself up on pillows when you're sleeping so that you don't get the reflux.
So this is very important, and we don't take sleep so seriously the way you're describing it. We just kind of checking our phone and just kind of switch off the lights and sleep, right? That's what most of us do. So you mentioned a little bit on the spicy food avoided, but I do want to talk about a little bit on the spices that we find in the kitchen, which you think we can use to our advantage for building our immunity or strengthening our immunity, I should say that.
Oh, yes. So turmeric and ginger, as you probably know, are fantastic for fighting inflammation. So I try to incorporate those whenever possible. I have a lot of turmeric smoothie recipes in my new book, Smoothies and Juices, Prevention Healing Kitchen. And, some people find the flavor too strong or a little bit bitter, but when you add it to, when you add it to coconut milk and fresh mango or frozen mango, I find that those flavors really just mellow it out and make it taste lovely. But that's another thing to talk about is gut health. Let's touch on gut health.
Sure. Go ahead.
Because that is really, we're finding, more and more that if we have a healthy gut, we're going to be healthy overall. Same way, if we have a sick gut or, a gut that has issues, we will not have an intact immune system. So what do we need? We need the probiotics, which you'll find in fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi. You'll also find it in miso paste, of course, yogurt and kefir, and also kombucha.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you need the probiotics, which are the good bacteria that help to establish a healthy microbiome. But you also need prebiotics. And those are the undigestible fibers that you'll find in apples and kiwi and banana and asparagus and leeks and also onions. Also, you can find it in inulin. Inulin is a fiber that comes from the roots of both chicory and also agave. And you will find some foods now that have inulin added to them. And that is another source of prebiotic fiber. So we want to get at least 5 grams of prebiotic fiber daily. And that's within the larger span of 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day total.
Okay, so 25 to 30 grams of fiber every day and 5 grams of prebiotic every day. And what about probiotic, the fermented food, every day?
Every day. And, they haven't really determined how many billion bacteria do you need daily. But I would say that it's kind of like antioxidants where you want to be getting those on a daily basis. So it doesn't have to be yogurt every day. Maybe it's yogurt one day, sauerkraut the next day, throw some kimchi on your pizza or your salad or your grain bowl. It's about getting more of these foods overall.
Got it, got it. All right, so we talked about prebiotic, we talked about probiotics, we talked about vitamin D, we talked about vitamin C, zinc, right? Five things. What else you would like our viewers to know more on immune health?
Well, I think, check out that immune boosting checklist that I mentioned on my website. Also, getting outside for daily activity. So you
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily be a runner, you don't have to be a yogi, you don't have to be a super duper fitness person, but just some daily movement, preferably outside, for at least 20 minutes is going to do you a whole lot of good.
Mhm. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Francis, for sharing all these tips with all of us for boosting and immune strengthening. We'd like to wrap up this session. And anything else you want to add before I wrap up?
No, thank you so much for your time. And if folks want more information like this, they can follow me at Francis L. Roth, RD.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Francis. To all the viewers, thank you so much for your support. I see people joining right now. We are wrapping up, I know. And you can catch this session. I'm going to just publish it right after this. So thank you, everyone, for your support, and take care of your immune health. That's the bottom line. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.